Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we've got our hands on a truly unique data set.
It really is.
We're not talking about abstract national trends or, big macroeconomic shifts.
Hmm.
We're focused entirely on November 2025 sales intelligence from a single freelance salesman, a man named Edward Boger,
And he's operating exclusively within this hyper-specific microcosm.
the Kampala Central Business District in Uganda.
I mean, the level of detail we have here is just unprecedented. What we're looking at is a ledger. It's transactions with a really specific group of clients.
So your distributors, key bars, restaurants.
Exactly. Liquor stores.
Yeah.
It's a snapshot for sure, but it's a really vivid one. It shows us exactly what moved and I think more importantly, where the profit centers actually were.
And the timing is it's everything. November 2025 was peak season.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking calendars filling up with weddings, big cultural introduction parties, and just the start of all the end-of-year festive gatherings.
The demand was already there. It was baked in. And Boger's own notes confirm that market pressure.
What was moving?
Brands like Four Cousins Wines, Jack Daniel, Hennessy, they were moving fast.
Right.
And there was this specific appetite for luxury celebratory items.
What?
Notably, the Veuve Clicquot Rick expression. That one really stood out.
And we also get that fascinating sort of negative intelligence, too, the absence of something.
Right. Knowing what isn't there.
Drambuie, that classic Scotch whiskey liqueur. People were looking for it, but it was just completely out of circulation in the market at that time.
And knowing what people want but can't get is, it's often just as valuable as knowing what they're actually buying.
Absolutely. So our mission here, and this is really for you listening, is to cut through the sheer volume of bottles sold.
Yeah, and to isolate where the real money was actually made. It's the classic volume versus value story.
But to understand it, we first have to define our key metric. We're going to be referencing it constantly.
Okay.
It's the average price percentage.
That's the one. And in simple terms, look, it's just the average markup. It's the premium charge to the client over the established cost price for that product.
So it's a direct indicator of profitability.
It's a perfect indicator. So when we see a high average price percentage, it means that product is moving at a significant premium. It's generating way more revenue.
And a low percentage.
Conversely, a really low percentage indicates tight margins, maybe some deep discounting, or just aggressive pricing.
Perfect. Okay, with that established, let's dive right into the mechanics of this market.
Let's do it.
Let's unpack this and start with the foundation of trade. Who is moving the actual inventory?
The answer is, well, it's pretty clear. It's the wholesale and distribution sector. These are the logistical heavyweights.
No surprise there.
Not at all. The main distributor and wholesaler accounts, they were the largest single driver of bottles sold. We're talking 26% of the total volume.
And if you combine that with the merchant wholesaler category,
Which chips in another 17%, yep.
you're talking about 43% of all physical inventory being handled by the supply chain accounts before it even gets close to a consumer.
Exactly. But what's really interesting is how quickly the volume disperses after that point.
How so?
The retail and consumption footprint is just enormous. Liquor stores account for 13% of volume, liquor store chains another 12%, and even the mobile stockists.
Those are the really agile, smaller operators.
Right, and they're responsible for a solid 11% of the total bottle count.
Yeah.
It just shows you how decentralized the final movement of the product really is.
Okay, so this is where we need to bring in that new metric. Because while the distributor channel still captures the highest share of sales value at 30%, the real magic, it seems, happens in the bars and restaurants.
It really does. Look at the disproportionate returns there. Bars and restaurants, they account for a mere 6% of the total volume.
Just a tiny number of bottles.
A tiny number. But they generate a massive 12% of the total sales value.
Yeah.
The numbers just don't line up.
Which means for every single bottle they move, the realized profit is exponentially higher than the industry average.
That's it. That differential is totally validated when we look at the pricing. The average price percentage for that bar and restaurant group shoots up to 169%.
169%.
It's a massive profit cushion. It suggests they're either selling almost exclusively high-end inventory,
Yeah.
or they're applying just huge markups on cocktails and bottle service.
So that channel isn't built on volume.
Not at all. It is built on high-value extraction.
Okay, now let's flip to the other extreme because this raises some questions about strategy. The Tier 1 supermarket channel.
Right. Minimal impact. Just 1% volume.
But their average price percentage is the lowest in the entire ledger. it clicks in at only 38%.
It's such a stark contrast to the 169% of bars. I mean, 38% suggests a very, very aggressive pricing strategy.
Like a loss leader, selling below cost to get people in the door.
It could be. The instinct is to say they're loss leading, but it could also mean they're just buying specific, very low margin products in massive bulk, and then they pass on tiny savings just to stay visible in that category.
So it's a strategy focused on traffic, not margin?
Entirely on traffic. They're sacrificing profit on certain items just to get you through the door, hoping you'll buy something else at full price. It shows two totally different business models operating at the same time in the same place.
Okay, so we've mapped out the logistics and the pricing. Let's open the crates and see what's actually inside. What are the people of Kampala drinking in November 2025?
Well, if distributors are the engine of volume, then wine is absolutely the fuel.
The fuel.
The wine category just dominates volume sales. It captures a massive 40.63% of all bottles in this ledger.
Wow.
This is the foundation of that affordable, accessible consumer market.
And we can drill down even further, right into specific types.
We can. Dry red wine is the single largest classification by volume at 16.61%, followed very closely by sweet red wine at 11.37%. These South African varietals are driving the vast, vast majority of the bottle count.
But, and I feel a but coming.
But here's where it gets really interesting. When we shift our focus from volume to value,
Right.
we have to look at categories where the volume is modest, but the revenue contribution is enormous. And the category that just epitomizes this is tequila.
Tequila, okay.
It only accounts for 13.06% of the total volume. That's about a third of wine's volume.
And yet,
it is the single highest contributor to overall value at 16.69%.
that is a huge reversal.
It's a massive reversal. That volume to value inversion means the average bottle of tequila sold costs significantly more than the average bottle of wine. The category's average price percentage is 128.71%.
So tequila isn't a casual sip.
It's an event. And we see that premium consolidation across other dark spirits, too. For instance, whiskey generates 23.66% of total value from just a 15.33% volume share. And champagne and sparkling wine.
The celebratory status symbol?
Exactly. It captures 12.22% of total value from only 9.05% of the volume. These are your undisputed value powerhouses.
Is there anything even more extreme?
There is. There is one classification that takes this concept of concentrated value to, well, an absurd level. We found a tiny classification in the ledger just labeled spirit.
Spirit, okay. That sounds vague.
It is.
But,
And it accounts for a barely noticeable 0.26% of the volume. It's a blip. But that tiny fraction of bottles generates 1.00% of the total value.
Get out.
That concentration of wealth is staggering. The average price percentage for that tiny niche spirit classification is recorded at 279.42%.
So what is it?
This almost certainly represents your ultra-premium, often single-bottle imported liqueurs or limited edition spirits sold at peak markup.
Probably in those exclusive bars and restaurants we were just talking about.
Almost guaranteed. It's the very definition of scarcity commanding price.
That's a phenomenal insight. Okay, let's move from categories and attach some specific brands to these movements. Let's talk brand hierarchy.
We have to start with the sheer volume leaders in wine, which again just reflects affordability and broad distribution.
Lay them out for us.
You've got KWV wines at 10.65%, Niederberg wines at 10.41%, and Four Cousins wines at 9.16%. They are just fighting tooth and nail for dominance in the mass market.
But the single highest volume brand overall isn't a wine, is it?
It is not. It's Jose Cuervo,
Tequila.
claiming 11.63% of all bottles in this ledger. And we can pinpoint exactly why that is.
One.
The Jose Cuervo Silver 1L, NRF CQ, that one product alone makes up nearly 10% of the entire ledger's volume.
Wow. And NRF means non-returnable filler?
Yep. It tells you this is the standard high turnover, ready to pour size that venues love. And over 7% of that single SKU's volume is moving directly through bars.
So that confirms it. It's the nightlife staple, the engine for high-traffic cocktails and shots.
Absolutely. That volume isn't sitting on a retail shelf. It's being consumed immediately, driving rapid turnover for the client.
Now let's contrast that high-volume, quick-turn model with the absolute other end of the
The
spectrum.
luxury end.
You mentioned one product that stands above all others for its premium pricing.
And that is the Clase Azul Reposado 750 milliliter tequila.
An iconic status symbol globally, but its performance here is just, it's jaw-dropping.
It gives us the peak price indicator in the entire data set. Its average price percentage is 1,020.96%.
Wait, I have to stop you there. 1,020%. A 120% markup. How is that remotely sustainable?
Well, that's the critical point. It's sustainable because the volume is minuscule. Class Azul contributes 2.42% of the total value from a mere 0.17% volume share. And here's the kicker. Every single unit of that product was sold exclusively through bar and restaurant accounts.
So it just validates everything we said earlier. The high-end on-premise trade is where scarcity meets extreme celebratory price points.
They are not selling a drink. They are selling a moment, a status symbol. They're selling aspiration.
And we see this across other luxury imports too, I assume.
For sure. Look at Scotch. Johnnie Walker generates 5.78% of the total value, and that's heavily boosted by its ultra-premium lines.
Specifically Blue Label.
Specifically JW Blue Label, which records a 720% average price percentage. Similarly, cognacs like Martell Blue Swift are generating 1% of value from a tiny volume. It's the same trend.
It really is the ultimate confirmation of a market that's just bifurcated by wealth. For one segment, price barely registers as a factor.
It really doesn't. And before we move on, it's worth noting one brand that's carving out a nice spot in the middle ground. Jameson Irish Whiskey.
Okay, Jameson.
It shows really strong, consistent market penetration. It's generating 3.48% of value from a slightly lower 3.17% of volume. And its primary client, the liquor store chain.
That suggests Jameson is more of a reliable, modern retail staple. It's accessible to a wider audience than the super premium stuff, but it's still commanding a respectable price.
That's a perfect summary of its position.
All right, finally, let's step back and look at the tempo of the month, the weekly sales charts. This tells us when the market is accelerating and who's driving those spikes.
And the timing is so critical because it tells you about inventory flow and consumption patterns.
Right.
If you look at the charts, the very first week of November, so the 1st to the 7th, it shows the sharpest value peak of the entire month.
And based on our earlier analysis, that has to be the distributors and wholesalers.
You got it. That early value spike signifies the crucial pre-holiday stocking period. Distributors are loading up, retailers are filling shelves.
Investing capital in anticipation of all the parties to come.
Exactly. Then things settle down a bit, but a massive new spike occurs around the middle of the month, November 15th to 21st.
And what client type is driving that burst?
That mid-month spike is fundamentally different. It is highly correlated with bar sales. And critically, the peak volume movement of Jose Cuervo. This isn't stocking. This is consumption.
Right. This is the parties happening.
This is hard evidence of a high-activity weekend. It's weddings, major events, mass social gatherings. It's the consumer pulling the inventory right through the system.
And as the month closes out,
we see the prep for the next cycle. Another large spike hits in that 4th week, from the 22nd to the 28th. This signals renewed distributor and retailer activity.
the final push before December.
The final push. It's a continuous cyclical pattern. Distributors drive the big early week value spikes as they prepare.
While bars drive the intense concentrated volume bursts later in the month as people actually drink the stuff.
It's a beautiful illustration of push versus pull market dynamics.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner? This deep dive into Edward Berger's ledger, it reveals a highly sophisticated two-speed market operating in the heart of Kampala.
We've really isolated two completely parallel ecosystems. On one side, you have the enormous essential domestic consumption market.
Anchored by those South African wines like KWV and Four Cousins.
Right, a market that prioritizes sheer volume and accessibility.
Okay, then on the other side,
You have the hyper-profitable, highly concentrated luxury market. This segment is driven by tequila, premium Scotch, champagne, and it's sold through those high markup channels,
the bars and restaurants.
capitalizing on celebration-driven spending where, honestly, price elasticity is virtually zero.
So the clear insight is that while you need volume to keep the lights on and maintain cash flow,
The true outlier profits, the 700% and 1,000% markups, are found exclusively in scarcity.
ultra-premium imported spirits, and leveraging aspiration right at the point of consumption.
Exactly.
And that leads us to our final provocative thought. Wine accounts for over 40% of all bottles sold in this data.
Yet it only captures 22% of the total value.
You have this immense base of consumer engagement, established category dominance.
It's huge.
The question for the industry and for you is this. What infrastructure or economic shifts would be necessary to convert that massive volume dominance of affordable wine into a higher value market? How do you narrow that immense gap and convince those consumers to pay a higher average price for a glass?
It's the ultimate challenge, isn't it? The challenge of premiumization in a volume-driven market.